to call the July 18th meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. Our first item of business is approval of the consent agenda, which consists of minutes of the June 20th meeting, administrative COAs for the period, and new historic district property owners. Do I have a motion to approve this agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of accepting the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The chair has submitted a letter to the commission about procedural issues. Are there any questions or comments, or pretty much on the same page? Everybody? Okay. Our first item of business is a request by Edward Wetherill to remove wood flooring and stone steps for the front porch and replace with brick at 312 Washington Street. Is Mr. Wetherill here?
No, but
No. Okay. Can we have your name and address?
I'm Stephanie Cox with Consensus Real Estate. We manage the property for Mr. Wetherill.
Okay. Can you tell us about your project?
So Mr. Wetherill owns both 310 and 312 Washington Street, and the front porch of the little guest house is rotten and needs to be replaced for safety, but also, and then there are also the set of stairs that are there are stone concrete stairs, which are not very stable and also create a bit of a safety hazard. So just in keeping with the main house and this house, he wants to just go ahead and replace those with brick, just for I guess a longer lasting and just more visually pleasing sort of thing. It also safety wise with the stairs. So.
Okay. Did the applications committee take a look at this?
We did.
Do you have a recommendation?
We found that the original, what the staircase and steps policy states in the guidelines is that what is original to the property should be retained, which in this case would be wood. However, the addition of brick, concrete, wrought iron steps for front porches of wood is discouraged but acceptable. And because the house is brick, and because the house next door, which I believe it belongs to,
The same.
is also brick, we do find that it meets the guidelines.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Did you want to make a motion?
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? I'm sorry. So when you go ahead and you're replacing the porch with brick, you're going to have to obviously probably remove the porch columns and rails. Are they going back in kind?
They are.
Okay.
They are. The brick mason, Calvin Nolan, that we discussed is planning to replace what's there with the exact same.
So,
Yep. Yep.
Sorry, thank you.
Any other questions?
I move that the application be approved as submitted.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of accepting this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
You're opposed?
It still passes though with the
Okay. Yes, it does. But you didn't want to tell why you were?
I think that that era of house is built with the wood. It can be replaced quite simply, and that house has very little to do with the large house next to it. I would encourage the applicant to reconsider, but then he would have to come back to us again for the replacement. I just can't see a hardship, and since our guidelines discourage it, I'm not in favor of it passing with masonry. And I've seen the main house that you're referring to, but again, these are completely different properties, different scales,
Sure.
just absolutely nothing similar. So to tie it to the main house, it's always been its own little house there, so. But
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
The next item on the agenda is for 1304 Oak Lane, Clifton and Dorothy Potter. Would you please state your name and address and then tell us about your project?
Clifton W. Potter Jr., 1304 Oak Lane.
Dorothy Turner Potter, 1304 Oak Lane.
As you can see, the walkway is done with flagstones, but the grass is encroaching on those stones. When we moved to the property back in 1969, I was 29 and could take care of it with no problem at all. But I'll be 76 tomorrow, and it has become quite a problem. And what we would like to do is to put down a concrete bed and then put the flagstones back exactly where they are now.
Essentially what you can see in that sort of little square by the Williamsburg gutter, which
I
he
started
began
doing-
to do before actually this area became a historic district, but then you had to stop.
Mhm.
due to
Thanks to an
injury.
accident. And I can't kneel anymore because of a replaced knee and a reconstructed ankle. So I can't do the work myself, but we had begun to do it, and that portion of it is set in concrete, and there's no grass there, and we simply want to continue the process. And the flagstones will be marked, and we'll go back exactly where they are now, except they'll be in concrete, and hopefully the grass cannot grow up through the concrete. It's a question of safety, really.
Okay. Has the applications committee looked this over?
We have.
We consider this to be really more of a maintenance issue. The policy for sidewalks basically states that all of these brick and stone sidewalks should be preserved and maintained, and since you are only replacing the base material and putting the stone exactly where it was, it would be considered maintenance and therefore would meet the guidelines.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. Did you want to make a motion?
I move that this application be accepted as submitted.
A second? Second. Any other discussion? We call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is a request by James and Evelyn Oyster, 515 and 517 13th Street. Would you state your names and your address, please?
Good afternoon. I'm James L. Oyster. The address of the property is 515 13th Street. We don't currently live there. My daughter and her family are going to be living there. They have a 2-year-old child, and we're concerned about the safety. So that's the purpose of the fence.
Has the applications committee taken a look at this?
We have, and
The style and the height does meet the guidelines, provided that you do not take the 4-foot height toward the front. Once it gets toward the front of the house, it would have to be reduced to 3, but where you're starting it, you seem to be starting it on the rear section of the side of the house, in which case that would not be considered the front yard, and the 4-foot and the 5-foot heights would meet the guidelines, provided they don't exceed 6 feet.
Any other discussion? Or do you have any questions about what he's telling you?
I was wondering would we have leeway to put fence in the front if we kept it below 3 feet or within 3 feet?
You would, but I think you would have to come, you would
Come
have to
back.
return here to get it approved, I think.
Is it gonna be the same style?
If we if we put any in the front, it would probably be a black metal fence.
You need to come back.
Yeah. If we kept it the same style, that would be possibly permitted.
Well, I was gonna offer to the commission, I mean, you're here.
Yeah.
You could just tell them, we could amend your COA to allow the 3 foot in the front, and you wouldn't need to come back. But if you're doing a different type fencing, then I would think they would need to see that.
Do you like that amended?
Was there a photo of that fencing in the application?
Okay. Thank you.
May I say something? What my concern is there's a window well right in front of the house. To my knowledge, there's never been a fence there. It's, there's stone, and then there's a white pea gravel in front of the stone, and then there's the sidewalk. So there's only like, what, 3 or 4 feet between the stone and the sidewalk. And we were wondering if we could just put a, like a wrought iron, black wrought iron
You have to come back. to
kind of a
another.
thing. Oh, okay. A cross there, you know, just to keep some, I mean,
Right.
you know, I mean, he's
We
like, he's
understand.
only
It's just a
14 months.
Separate matter.
Right, yeah, okay.
Just in front of the window well?
Just in front of the window wells, yes.
Oh.
Because, I mean, I don't know if that's a safety issue or that anybody's ever been
It
concerned.
sounds like it's a safety issue. What we're concerned with is more or less, I think, the style and type of fencing you're putting there. So, but they have been used before.
Yeah, we could walk around the neighborhood and kind of see what other people have, but I don't know that anyone has a window well
Right.
like we have at the Simpson House. So,
Well, it's been there for 166 years. I don't,
yeah.
it may not be a problem.
I mean, are you concerned about the children falling in it? Is that-
Yeah,
Well,
possibly.
you know, small children, I mean, people walk their dogs along that street a lot, and, I mean, we haven't owned the house for that long, so nobody's ever brought that up as an issue to us. But I'm just thinking in terms of having a small child there. My daughter's pregnant, and we don't know how long they're gonna live there.
Well, without us really seeing it, it's hard to determine.
But that is a possibility. You're saying we just have to come back
We
and
could
submit it again.
amend to have a 3 foot of the similar style or not.
For the front of the house, but I'm not sure exactly where this other one's going that you said is in front of a window well. So I
Yeah,
think
I
that.
I think looking at it right here, it's gonna be coming straight off the porch.
I think we'll,
Oh, you're talking about the front.
Yes,
Oh, I see what
right,
you're
right
saying.
across the
This window
front.
well here, and same thing over on that side.
So you'd be putting it at the sidewalk?
Well, behind the pea gravel, I guess, would be.
there's about a 4 foot space
Yeah, I see it now.
between the sidewalk and where that,
I'm looking at a picture of your house, actually,
Oh,
so I
okay.
see it. I don't,
I would just, as a side note, there's some decent grading material that you could possibly put over those so that you're not actually putting a fence up. Because one of the goals of this group is that the street's facade doesn't change, you know, in a
Right, yeah, I
tremendous way.
understand that.
And so it might be less expensive, and then it's something that would barely be noticeable, and you can lift it out, rather than go to the expense and hassle of coming in here. Plus, when, I know your house really well, I've walked by it a lot of times, it almost, putting the fence in the front might cause more problems with maintenance, because you just, you know, trying to get mowers and equipment between that little area is hard, because it's so close to the house. Wouldn't the fence be like here and the house is 4 feet away almost, or like?
Well, okay, yeah, see where the bush is, right at the corner of the porch?
Mhm.
And then you can see the downstairs, that's the window in the kitchen. And so I was just thinking if we could put something between the front porch and the top of the stairs where well, it's on the other side of the stairs where that second bush is on the corner. That, just to have something, I mean, you know, couple feet high, just to, I don't know if it would finish it off.
It's actually a bigger issue on the other side of the house, which you don't see from this picture.
Right.
And there is no house to the side of this house. Because
Right, it's just a
basically
parking
the
lot.
street, Gray Street curves, and essentially that's also backyard, the side yard is backyard. There's nothing there,
No, it seems
other than the cliff, and there's a stairway
on that side.
that goes down to Gray Street.
in that site, most of the people in the neighborhood seem to walk on the street because they don't want to like encroach on your personal space. So that may be why it's never been a problem, is that everyone kind of, and it's such a quiet street.
Yes.
You don't have to jump out of the way of cars
Right,
usually.
Well, you have to park your car on the sidewalk actually to
Right.
park there, so. um,
So we're
Yeah,
going to
so-
go ahead and vote on the original COA and
Fine.
just give this other matter.
Okay,
We'll come back if we.
yeah,
Well,
we
that's
have to
fine.
do
You know,
that.
just see how it works out. Do I make your motion?
I already did,
Did you?
didn't I? Make a motion?
No,
Oh.
you didn't, because you started talking about the front part.
I move that we accept the application as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I apologize for taking more time.
Okay, if it saved a trip, it would help you.
The next three items concern 111 Harrison Street. Would you state your name and your address, please?
Yes, my name's Jade Sanders, and the property that we're looking at is 111 Harrison Street.
We've divided the COA into three items, and we'll just take them one at a time.
Great.
The first one has to do with the painting. And I was just wondering if we could pull up other bungalow-style houses and see how they're painted. My personal concern, maybe I should let the applications committee
Actually,
address
could
this
the-
first.
Could the whole thing be, could she present her application first? Just describe what she's.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, okay.
go ahead.
Sure. We are just looking to paint the exterior of the house. Right now, it's a yellowish color, and then the trim on the house is a pretty deep brown. We're looking to possibly paint the main part of the exterior a light gray, just to lighten it up a little bit, but we would keep the dark brown trim the same. Not the same, we'd like to repaint it, but the same color. And then the brown also matches the roof that we currently have.
And the balusters that are currently white?
We would like to keep those white. Right now, the porches, it's wood, but it's been painted over. Our hope is to have that completely scraped off and stain that back to the wood color that it was.
So a stain rather
So
than
a
paint.
stain rather than a paint, yes, ma'am.
And the ceiling color?
The ceiling color, I requested a light blue. It's currently a light green. That's just a color
And what
preference
about-
on that one.
What about your front door?
Our front door right now is painted. It is brown right now, which is fine. But if it could be blue, I would like to request that, but brown's also fine if that isn't approved.
Has the applications committee taken a look at this?
We have, and unfortunately, we do not have bungalow as one of our choices. The closest we have is Craftsman, and it does appear to meet the guidelines with the Craftsman style. However, the commissioner has found another definition for bungalow, and I
Okay.
think the colors differ. So I think we need to open this up for discussion.
Okay. Now, can we go back to the pictures? When I looked at this, there are several gray bungalow styles, but they have white trim. When I researched it further, bungalow originated in India, so it's, you know, lighter and more so than the Craftsman. And I just wanted the other commissioners to see this. I live in the neighborhood and I know this house really well. And I'm just afraid a whole lot of dark brown will just overwhelm it.
Okay.
And that's just my opinion, and there are other commissioners to see what they say.
I mean, personally, I think it's more attractive with lighter colors. I especially like the one down at the left.
Wow,
The
that's-
bottom left is very nice.
It's all getting painted anyways, and I'd actually like it to be white. It's just already brown,
Yeah.
and so we were trying to
I think-
stay with what was
I
with
think
it,
the
so.
brown was kind of an unfortunate precedent that
Okay.
that came with the house.
Yeah.
So, I think it's real helpful that our chairwoman brought up these photos because there are, you know, a lot of, you know, history of bungalows with white trim.
Right.
And
I'm
they
happy to
put-
do white.
You're not going to?
No, I'm happy to
You're
do
open
white.
to
I
it?
was just trying to not change too many things, so I'm happy to do the white with the gray.
Okay, great.
So if that's the case, how do we know, how do we pick a color? Because are we just going to say white?
Well,
In this case, because there's possibly a wide range of whites that we would approve,
That's right.
could this be a administrative thing or one of the ones where we have an advocate? Where it could be, if this group was okay with pure white ranging to an ivory?
right.
Well, if I may, typically exterior paint colors are an administrative approval anyway. The reason I brought this one to you was because of the blue front door. I wasn't comfortable in approving that, and I think it also, as Chair Butterfield mentioned, this style was not really in the guidelines, so it did open it up to discussion. So I think at this point it would be helpful to me if the commission would discuss the front door. It sounds like we're settling on white for the trim. I could work with the owner to approve the white and move forward that way. But I think the most direction we need right now is on the front door.
Okay. Back to you,
Back to me. Were you discussing what, the front door?
the front door.
Okay, what was the options we
Well,
had for that?
it's brown now. They were thinking about turquoise. And are you open to any other suggestions?
Sure.
That-
Did our guideline, and I'm sorry, I usually bring the guidelines, do our guidelines give a range of colors for front doors? Because it's traditionally, front doors are always the accent that kind of, you know, bring out the owner's personality. It's the one thing they get to kind of have some fun with. So I didn't know if we had a strict set of guidelines, and I apologize, I didn't bring my book with me today, or if we're allowed a certain latitude. Because the house is very neutral with gray and white, and it seems as though from the street, traditionally, the door would have a color, but.
I don't know of any door guidelines. On these pictures that we were looking at, there's one with a dark red door that seemed attractive. But again, you're the expert.
You know, well, I think this particular house would look nice with a colored door on it. And again, the doors is usually something that, what Commissioner Lawrence said, is that they do, they can benefit the owner basically just by having something that fits your personality. So, I don't know that we need to be picking the color so much for the door. It needs to, I think, needs to be something that's presented to us or can be administratively approved, perhaps. The only thing I would say is to make sure that the colors of the house, the base color, the trim colors especially, are in that same paint value. Because you can put what they call a muddy gray on the house and then put a stark white, which will be very contrasting and may not, so if you have more of a muddy gray, a creamier white will look more appropriate for that, for those two choices.
Okay.
And then the door, I guess that's that's wide open.
Is the color on, there's not a color chip on there currently for the?
The blue right there,
Oh, okay.
that's what I
okay.
was requesting for the porch ceiling, and if
Oh,
the door
yeah.
could be that
Okay.
color to
Is it more of a
coordinate.
robin's egg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I think it was fine, but it complement everything we're doing.
Do you want to make do you have any suggestion for her front door?
I'm fine with what she's picked out. I think it'll complement everything. It's,
Oh, so you want to do that, the door and the ceiling?
Yes.
Oh, I think that would be fine also.
Could we look at the house again, the physical home? I just need some help, maybe some clarification on something. Whereas you have listed on your COA the trim to be chocolate.
So the trim
What
is
is your
like,
definition of trim on this?
right there where the mouse is, and then that color's also continued up under
So
the
the
gutters.
exposed architecture elements on the side,
Those would be white.
okay.
What about the shingles on the dormer? Because
That would match the house color,
You can
if possible.
use this pointer
Right.
to point out the
Oh,
areas.
thanks.
Just press the date.
All right, so we'll.
Okay, so right up here.
Yes.
I'd like that to match the house in the gray color.
Mhm.
And then this here would be the white trim. And then the trim continues underneath here, but you kind of have to
Sure.
look up under.
The soffit's right. And it looks like
to
there
see.
may be, hidden in the trees up there in the top above the windows.
Yeah, up
that's
here,
also
that
the
would
same?
also be white too.
Okay.
Any of the extras added onto the house, we'd be happy to do white. And then just the main stucco part of the house would
And-
be gray.
Okay, and that was my question, basically, I wanted to throw back to the commissioners was, are we, trim, I think, would be around the windows and the balusters and rails and everything on the side of the house and the porch. Based on the other examples that we saw of the craftsman or bungalow-style homes there, would those exposed architectural elements also be painted white, or should they be in a darker color? Is wood? Those are wood elements in there?
I believe there would, yes.
So should those actually stay in a wood tone as opposed to being painted white?
I think in the ones we saw with the bungalow styles, they were painted the lighter color.
Okay.
So I think that would include all the trim. I think the
So
only,
not necessarily taken into the
I don't think so.
Tudor frame of mind, which is, those would definitely
Yeah,
stay.
I mean, if you look at that bottom one on the left and the one right above it, see
Okay.
all the horizontals, all
Yes.
that trim is all the same lighter color.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted some clarification for myself.
I think the replacement windows are white, so actually the white trim should help
Right.
tie it all together. The
Okay.
light always seemed really in contrast to that butterscotch color.
Mhm.
Okay, so can you make a motion with what we've got?
I move that the application be approved, changing the chocolate trim to a shade of white.
And go ahead with the door.
And the rest of the application, the rest of the colors are, meet the guidelines.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
One
item
down.
Okay, the next thing are the exterior windows. And we had looked at this once before as a commission with the previous owners. I guess there are no windows.
Yeah,
But
there's
they're
just storm windows
or-
in the
yeah.
second floor. So
Seriously?
we're hoping to have some windows, but
I
Alright.
have no idea.
Tom, could you put the first ones I drew up there?
The first one?
You just had them up there before this. They were sideways, actually. Right down there. I don't know if anybody can see these, they're upside down, but Jade, I apologize, I actually made a mistake on these.
oh, okay.
The one to the left, well, I mean, it's up, it's side, it should be flipped the other way. And when I went back to draw this, I have another house I'm doing, and it's craftsman style. It has horizontal muttons. I forgot that yours has it has vertical muttons. Yours also has horizontal. So I just put verticals in here, and after I submitted it, I realized the mistake. So on that first one, if you, that was more or less for your benefit.
Sure.
That was for the back of the house, which really doesn't concern us. That actually should have one horizontal mutton in the middle, so you'd have 6 panes,
Okay.
okay? The second one, which is, it's very hard to tell, but what that is, it's a casement. And that should have 2 muttons, and the third one is a casement without any muttons. And if you and for that middle one, should have 2 muttons in the middle. So you would
Okay.
actually have, what would that be? 1, 2. You'd have 6 per window, so there'd be
Okay.
8 there, which would be more or less like your upper sash below that. Also, and then the last one doesn't have to have any muttons. So I gave her a choice of having muttons or no muttons. I also realized that casements, these casements, since these windows are so small, may not meet code. So I think we should also, at this meeting, allow for one huge casement windows, which means in the front dormer, you'd have 3 casements, and they would just all open out separately. Or an awning window, because they may meet code, whereas these may not. So
Okay.
if the building inspector says, no, these don't meet code, you'll already be approved to put one big window. And now, Tom, you can put that other one up. So if you did one large window and you wanted to put muttons, that's what this little drawing is. So you'd have 6 muttons for one big casement window,
Okay.
okay?
One big meaning we would connect like the 3.
You'd have 3 windows up there.
Okay.
Instead of having 3 windows that open this way,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have 3 windows, each one would just be one big
Okay.
window. I personally don't think your house meets code, because I think the windows are too high, so I think you're grandfathered in anyway. But
Okay.
you may get into a situation where the building inspector wants a larger window in there for egress,
Okay.
okay? So so you could either do one with muttons or without muttons. So
Okay.
you'll have that option.
And
Is
the
that-
muttons are the dividing lines
Yes.
inside the window? Okay.
And if they are muttons, they would have to be, I think do we approve, what do they call, simulated divided light? Do we approve that here? I mean, is that against the guidelines?
You don't like them. You don't like, I mean. it's
So
not
they
the
have to
best
be,
option.
they have to be true divided?
Yeah.
Do we have a sample of the window? I somehow thought we were supposed to have, if someone came in with a window application, I thought we were to have a cut sheet or a sample, so that we know, because there are windows that are just, unless we have a profile from the manufacturer, we don't know if they're just those lay-in flat strips, or if it's what the dimension of the window is, all
Or
of
if
the
it's
parts and
clad or
pieces.
non-clad. Yeah, we
Correct.
actually do need a cut sheet of the window. Do you have anything?
I presented this to somebody who does wood windows as best I could without saying, this is what I'm looking for, because I didn't exactly know what I was looking for at the time. But I do have a description, and it's pretty close to what you said with the 3 windows, except for the middle window didn't open. It was just the 2 side windows open like this. In this description, there was only 4 of the muttons, but we could easily change that to 6. And this one was aluminum clad wood.
What's the manufacturer? Who's the manufacturer?
The manufacturer is Pella Wood Windows.
Pella is a good window.
Yeah, you can
We can pass it around if you don't
look.
mind.
And I just brought their book. I didn't exactly know which windows we were looking at.
Okay.
Are you going to live there, or is this going to be rental property?
I hope that we're going to live there. That's the plan. We would really like to live in the historic district, so we're putting a lot into it, but my husband hasn't given me the okay yet.
So these are simulated divided light.
And I don't know that Pella even makes true divided, do they?
I think they do, but then it is a 4-light window, and the 4-light looks like a good proportion. However, just because this is the part of the house that really faces the street, I think having a scale drawing would be helpful, because I'm not sure, not sure if that's, is that one a scale drawing? Is that measured? Okay. Because I do think that it could look too horizontal or too vertical, and
Pull up the front facade of that house, Tom, because the reason I did it is because the front of her, see how, is there any way of blowing that thing up to see those front windows?
It's just the upstairs, right? Or is
No,
it
see all the
above?
upper sash of the, yeah, she's talking about these upper windows. But you see the upper windows, if that's one pane of glass, it pretty much matches the sash below. So we're talking now, so what you're saying is the 2 end ones would be
Opening
opening
this way,
as a
yeah.
casement, and the middle one would be fixed.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
what I believe that she had given me.
Okay.
but that's what the cut sheet shows. And from the street, it won't look different. No one's going to tell the difference.
But I'm saying, can you move down, Tom, so we can see those front windows? See the ones, no, okay, that's great, perfect, right there. So those upper sashes, pretty much almost the same scale as those windows.
But that's a 9-light, and it was drawn as a 6-light.
Yeah, so it may be that, yeah, you're right, probably needs to be drawn to scale. Because it
I
may-
just think, it's just one of those things that people want to see the dormer more than they see what's on the porch. And you're hopefully only going to do it once. Thank you for taking on the project, because I can't believe it doesn't have windows. But I guess, you've got the lower windows. So I just think it'd be useful to see it to scale and make sure, because it's expensive stuff, so, make sure that you've got what really looks good for the house. and-
Well, the next question is whether or not we're even going to approve a simulated divided light.
I think that, I will say that Pella, compared to other brands like Marvin, has a much better profile on their lights, but we will, I think,
Does it have on those spec sheets, does it have the size of the mutton?
yeah, I think it's too big, it's 1.25 inches, and I think Pella makes a 7/8, so I'll just make a note, look for 7/8. And I think because with past applicants, and if I'm speaking on line fixes, this has been something that's been very carefully scrutinized, so we want to make sure that we're fair to all applicants. And our experience has been the 7/8 is more in keeping with what's on that window down below. And it's a standard feature,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
And since the window is existing, we could easily measure it to
Yeah.
get as close to that profile as we can.
But then that way, the folks on the committee feel comfortable that they've seen the actual thing. And usually the fellow rep will give you a sample
Okay.
or a cut sheet
Yeah,
showing.
I'm
the-
meeting with
the
her
thing.
tomorrow to
Okay.
give her a better idea of what it is that we are looking for.
Is this something, this is just the question, because I don't know how you guys want to proceed. Is this something that an advocate, such as, I don't know, if Richard?
I would be the advocate. I don't know
Oh,
that I'm
okay,
the
'cause it's
greatest
your-
window expert that we've got, but I'd be happy to meet with you and the
Okay.
fellow rep if you want me to.
Okay, that would be great.
Should we discuss the simulated, I think we need to clarify whether or not simulated divided light would be acceptable with this committee.
What does the guideline say in that,
Uh,
especially when there's not an existing window? I think it may be different if you were replacing windows, but this is a non-existent window, so there might be more latitude for this to be approved.
Simulated divided lights, where the button is on the outside of the exterior glass, visually creating the appearance of a historic window, is an acceptable alternative.
Okay, so we're good with that. Okay.
Great, and they're aluminum clad, not vinyl, just so, based on this cut sheet.
So that's aluminum?
Yes.
Is that part of it okay? Okay.
I think so. I think that's usually if you want to pass that on. I circled the items that, and all you'd want to do is just measure that, what's in on your front porch windows, the living room probably, and then see what's closer to it. The 1¼ is kind of fat,
Okay.
and the 7/8 might be more in keeping.
Okay.
And when you have the rep come out, she can probably tell you what would be more appropriate to match those windows.
Okay. She said she's
As-
done
as a-
several houses
as a
in the
matter of
historic
fact,
district, so
I
that
think the
helped.
rep could actually do the
Mhm.
drawing, exactly.
Okay, so
you
have
know,
her draw
I think there's
something
already
up.
one in here, isn't there?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, so they
they've
can-
drawn it as 4 light.
Right, so they can just do this to scale,
Okay.
and so, because I don't think this is to scale, this looks, oh, maybe it is, I don't know.
They're 29" by 32
Oh, I
based
think-
on their sheet.
So we're looking for what, 6 panes?
That's-
Well, if you had mentioned that to match the windows down below, a 9 light, but I have to admit, I think those
That's
windows
too
are
much.
3 foot by 3 foot,
Yeah.
is my guess.
Well, you know what, again, I think the rep can actually do this. Just let her know, you know, we're trying to get the panes as close to the pane sizes as what you have in the
Okay.
existing house. You know, they obviously don't have to match it exactly, so, but she can, you know, when she comes out here, she can probably redraw this, and then you could submit it to, I guess, Tom will give it to Kay. And,
Yeah, I think what would probably happen is the advocate would work with the owner and the window rep. You would resubmit what information the window
Okay.
rep gives you to me, and we would bring it back next month with full permission.
Because it has
To
to
discuss.
be voted on at the meeting.
Okay.
Do you know when your appointment is tomorrow?
No, I was just gonna call her as soon as I finished
Okay,
here.
let Robin know.
Okay.
And she'll let me know, and
Okay.
I'll just be there.
Okay, great.
Times a couple blocks up the street.
Okay. So we'll need to come back next month for that.
Once you know everything
Sure.
that
Okay.
you're doing. Yeah, I'll meet with you and the rep. We'll sort it out. You probably need to check with inspections.
Mm-hmm.
Do a new COA with the new drawing, the new information.
Okay.
And what they will accept, and then come back next month to
Okay.
have it be voted on.
Sounds good.
We don't do a whole lot of this. Most houses have their windows.
Yeah, that was an interesting one to find upstairs, but That's all right.
You could ask your neighbor Nancy Marion if she has any photos of your house. I don't know if she knows where they would be. She's
Uh-huh.
the caretaker of all photos.
Mhm.
She lives a block over from you.
Okay.
What kind of a room is that gonna be?
All of the bedrooms have those three windows right
So
next to
that's
each other.
gonna be a bedroom?
Mhm.
And
Should
just,
we-
Because that might make a difference on the, what they tell
Sure.
you. Have you talked to Mike McKinney yet? He's the one who
No,
can tell you
I
that,
haven't.
like, what, the window openings and
For
all that.
code?
Mhm.
Okay, Mike
Yeah.
McKinney?
Mhm.
you're probably gonna be asking, like Richard said, for an exception, because 5.7 square feet is what you're supposed to have, and I think you might be a little bit under that.
Okay,
But because it's an existing condition, sometimes they'll approve it.
okay.
And, I'll mention to you after, it's just a little detail thing that you might bring up tomorrow, but nothing super important.
Okay. So, we have a motion to table this item?
I move that we table this item until, what is it, August meeting?
Is there a second?
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I just have a question. If we're sending you as an advocate, does this group need to see it again?
Yes,
Okay.
New rules.
that's the
Okay.
FOIA that
Oh,
we're
okay,
trying
okay.
to get back on the right side of the
I
road
see.
with them. But yes, the vote has to be public.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you. We have to keep each other straight on this. It's- Okay, the next item is your fence.
Yes, so we are just looking, it actually has a very, very nice backyard and it's pretty much already boxed right in. But we are just looking to put up a privacy fence, just in the backyard. You would see it, a little bit on either side, mainly, the side towards Fifth Street. But just for a little bit of extra privacy, from neighbors, and there's a lot of children around, but we haven't decided to for sure do this, but if we would move there, we would probably start our family there, so we would just want a fence in the backyard.
The fence meets the guidelines.
Mhm.
However, it's always a however. If you're going to keep it 6 feet, it can only come up the sides of the house, no more than halfway,
Yes.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
It can go further back, but it can't go beyond that halfway mark. Then you have to reduce the height. So as long as you keep it that distance, you're fine.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. Now, does the fence need to be finished?
What were your plans on the finish?
Our plans were to just keep it wood. That was also when we were gonna have the darker trim, so if we need to paint it white to match the trim, that's fine too.
Well, it holds up better if you put some kind of finish on it.
Sure.
Either a
Yeah.
stain or paint.
What's the wood, what's the fence made out of? Is it cedar or treated wood?
I don't know.
Because if it's treated wood, I know we've had some discussions about letting it gray naturally.
Well, rough cut cedar will gray naturally as
Mhm.
well.
Or she can stain it, right?
And there is no maintenance with that.
Sure.
But
We
if they're more
weren't planning on
expensive
doing
to
a
start with.
finish on it at first, but whatever helps it
Well, our
match
guidelines.
correctly, that's fine.
Well, I think, why don't you read the color guideline?
Fences should be finished side visible to the outside of the perimeter and stained or painted to blend with the building.
So we haven't adopted the landscape part of that yet, have we?
No. So
Okay.
we've got to go with the old guidelines.
Yes, do we?
Yeah, we did.
Could we at least say, because do I have it, I don't remember the exact writing that we've, Tom and Robin have put into it, but if people use treated wood, were we allowing it to gray naturally? Because if she's not in a huge hurry to put this fence in, she might want to wait till we adopt the new guidelines so she doesn't have to paint it. Although you could get it, I guess, approved and come back for an amendment if she, no, because then that affects what wood you have it made out of.
Yeah, right now you have to paint it or stain it to match your trim.
Okay,
But the new guidelines are a little more lenient, and they allow for stains and colors to blend in with the landscape. So you might want to wait for the color.
okay. When does the old
I don't know. when
Good
is that?
question.
and the new,
I'd love to, because a
Crossover.
lot, and I think in all of the commissioners' heads, we're starting to think about these new ones and make, kind of, our decisions are bearing on those discussions, but they're not adopted yet. Tom, what's our
Well,
process?
again, I would say they're guidelines, and if you know the commission is moving in that direction, and you're comfortable with saying, stain it, let it gray naturally, I think that would be fine for the commission to discuss and approve today, if you're comfortable with doing that. Another alternative is obviously just to put a clear sealant on the natural wood, but, yeah.
Are the sections of fence that we're worried about, stain, no stain, just the sides that are visible from the street that come at the side of the house? Do we have to worry about anything that's in the back? It's not visible.
Well, I would think she'd probably do the, well, I would think she'd probably do the same, whatever you're gonna paint it or stain it one color.
yeah, we'll just probably do whatever we choose to the whole entire thing.
Now, I will also bring up, you mentioned that this may be a house you move into, you
Mhm.
might be doing this work, so on and so forth. If I'm not mistaken, our COAs have a life expectancy of 12 months. Is that something that's gonna
Yeah.
be done sooner than
Yeah.
later? Okay.
How
Well, I'll
about,
probably know by August, so.
Okay.
do you think you're gonna put this fence up in the next month?
Yes, probably. Or I can wait if.
I mean, I was
need
gonna
to.
suggest that you have to come back for the other thing, you might wanna think about what color
Okay,
or stain.
And since the applicant did say she had not intended to, originally not intended to do anything to the fence, that's still on the table that she could go that route.
Just let it,
You mentioned that you weren't intending to do anything, so you could let it gray naturally
right,
if you chose to.
yes.
and that's acceptable in our new guidelines, I think, right?
So just bring that back next month?
Well,
and-
unless you wanted, I think we can make a motion on that,
Oh, okay,
okay?
that's great.
Clarification on the COA, is it 6 months or a year?
Actually, the new zoning ordinance gave it 24 months.
24 months,
Wow,
okay.
impressive.
Oh, lots of time.
Ta-da.
Right. Are we ready for a motion? Are you comfortable making one?
Sure. I move that the application for the fence be approved as submitted. And it will be left unstained and unpainted. And it would be placed at least halfway down from the side of the building, and that the finished side faces the outside of the property, and the unfinished side faces inward.
That's fine.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Sorry I took longer than everybody else.
It's fine.
You're doing more work.
That wasn't too bad. Less than an hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? If not, then we stand adjourned.